So Shay dropped his highly anticipated album Rest in Bass, and in this video I wanted to give it a more deeper examination. I've been listening to Shay for a while now, not too deeply until he dropped Say So Says, one of the best underground albums I think in the past few years, and it kind of went under the radar, but it's really good. I would hear a lot of his songs like Pizza Time or like Kruger on TikTok a lot, but I really got into his music when he performed it on the Saheem tour a few months ago. And he really had so much crowd control. I was speaking to the people in the crowd. There's a girl in there who he was fucking with somehow on Instagram. I don't know why, but she was talking about, yeah, I want to go home after Shay. I only came for Shay. I paid for the opener, not the actual show. You feel me? And I was like, okay, that's a better waste of money. But like, I understand, because he was so good that day. All of his songs, I would say, have the equal or like maybe a little bit less than effect of Whole Lotta Red Carti in terms of like crowd control and just getting a whole venue lit. And I think this album is like the like evolution of that. Obviously all his music is kind of loud, very 808 bassy, right, really punchy and shit, but he's adding more and more to it and making it like very vocally aggressive, very vocally wild, like avant-garde, I guess. This is not an album to like put people onto him. If you play this to somebody, they'll think it's like a dying bird screeching to death. So it's pretty safe to say this is not the most beginner friendly or like intro friendly album. And I think Shay knows that. This is like his Whole Lotta Red, is like his Yeezus, I guess, right? And whether or not the sound resonates with you, you can kind of already see in your head the mosh pits that are going to form at the Ken tour that he's performing on. Maybe his own tour if he does that. And it was pretty intense when he was doing Say So. But this is like the next evolutionary step to that. I feel like he's kind of adding more to his sound, making it more like wild. There's some songs on here that are just ridiculous. Like if you play the song Mannequin that he has with Xavier Sobase, which is one of my other favorite underground artists, it just sounds like something you never heard before. Like Jerk, Holy Pause, but I mean like Jerk, Rage, very like wild, like really underground, like you can't hear this anywhere else. I never heard that beat before. Some of the producers on here, first of all, I kind of wish Spotify showed you producers like super openly, like on the song, very like clearly labeled and stuff like that. Like just sit back, if you be taking shrooms or be getting high, like just do that. That's what I did, and just sit back and listen to the beats. Like the beats are just so layered and aggressive. Like the instruments that are being put in and out, the leads, the bass, the claps, all like the hi-hats are just so like aggressively in your face, but also not really unless you listen to them. It sounds like Shay is like boxing the beat at the same time. It's not as good as Carti, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not as good as Whole Lotta Red Carti. That's like the blueprint. I would say if you want to compare sounds and like maturity with the sound, like ability to use the sound, I would say Whole Lotta Red Carti is like 2016 Curry, and like right now Shay is about like 2018 Trae Young, like rookie. He's kind of new to it, you know what I mean? And I hope that's a good like explanation of why I don't think this is like biting or like he's taking Carti's flow. That was kind of the consensus on Twitter. If you go on Twitter, shit this dropped, oh, Shay's biting Carti, every song sounds like a Carti song, he's a Carti clone. I really disagree. And I think there are similarities obviously, but as I said before, Trae Young is not really a Curry clone in the same way Shay is not a Carti clone. It's a very similar style of music, you know, shooting threes, making rage rap. But at the end of the day, Trae Young is not Steph Curry and Steph Curry is not Trae Young. I believe that Shay is kind of doing his own type of style. It's not as vocally varied as Carti's. And don't get me wrong, Curry's better than Trae Young. But you know what I'm saying? They're also two very solid players. So I think that Shay is not really biting Carti. It's obviously a blueprint that was set down by Carti. But I'm not going to listen to this album and be like, oh, this is Playboy Carti. Maybe you can do this with like Nine Vicious or somebody like actually with an Atlanta accent. But I'm simply just not hearing Carti on this album. It's kind of so far removed from Carti, because Carti at this point doesn't really make Whole Lotta Red B2 anymore. He's kind of on his own type of like new shit. So I feel like I'm hearing more of like a cloud rap influence, definitely Ken Carson influence with some of the beat switches, and kind of some Osamason influence. Obviously Osamason's on the album, but there's a very interesting like production choices. I feel like that sounds like some jump out stuff. But on to my favorite tracks, I think I like just number one, I think Mannequin with Xavier Sobase, because how unique the beat is and how you can't really find something like that anywhere else. If there's something like that somewhere else, please let me know, because I never heard that before. And then number two, I'd say is Dior Leopard. This one's like just a very solid, like swaggy, like very crazy lead type of beat going on. Forgive me, I'm not a producer, I can't really explain this really well, but it's a two-parter song, and I feel like this is gonna go so crazy at the live shows for the Great Chaos Tour, More Chaos Tour. I got tickets for them already. I'm so hype. It's gonna be so crazy to hear all this live, and I bump it a lot in my headphones. But yeah, like the bass, really, the bass part of the name of this album is really present. Play this with your headphones, you damn near can't even hear him anymore. Like the bass gets too crazy. I feel like even if you want to compare this to Say So Says, this is not as, I would say, like good lyrically. It's more of a vibe album. Like this is gonna go crazy in live shows, obviously, but I think Say So Says has better like highs in terms of like rapping and in general like melodicness. This isn't really a surprise. It's in the title, Rest in Bass. Aggressive, harrowing, in your face, rage rap. I would definitely say the second half of this album is better than the first half. He has like the obvious snippet, the I forget what it's called, the Beach House sample. My bad, the Beach House sample. But yeah, people were ripping the first half of this album, and I didn't really see until after I finished the album, because I don't really listen to people's opinions while I'm listening to albums. I want to have as unbiased as an opinion as possible. But yeah, I still agree with them. The second half is way better than the first half. And yeah, my third favorite song is Black Swan, which I just realized when looking at the track list is like 3 in a row with my favorite songs. So Dior, Leopard, In the Mannequin, Into, Black Swan was my best 3 songs, and they're all in the second half of the album. So if you're watching this video and you're like, I'm not really liking the album, I just started listening to it, keep listening. The best songs are on the second half. I would say probably the worst song is like Slam Punk, or like which is the first song on the album, or like maybe On Fleek. But even still, I see the vision with this. It's kind of like those songs are like worse versions of Jump Out the House. But Jump Out the House was very catchy, so I don't even want to put that as like a bad song. But I think in general, not to like make this song or this album too deep, but like Rest in Bass, the lyrics almost rest in the bass. They die under the bass. The bass is so overwhelming that it like kills the lyrics, like almost like consumes it. And that's kind of what happens at mosh pits and big concerts, like very, very aggressive underground concerts. If you've ever been to a Ken Carson concert, it's like a fucking war zone, bro. It's like a gladiator fight. But instead of like athletes and like gladiators, they have white boys with nick addictions. But you know what I mean? When you get in those concerts and those pits, you kind of want to survive. Like it's almost like a harrowing, scary thing. You feel me? But I enjoy those, so I'm gonna be going to them. But this album is very solid. I think that it has some low points, especially the first half. Second half picks up a lot. The rapping is not as good as on his previous album, Say So Says, but it's melodic enough in some parts, and it's enjoyable enough to make you not lose interest. You can play this from top to bottom. It's like less than an hour long, and you won't get bored from this, especially if you're jumping around, if you're exercising. I highly recommend go to the gym, run a little bit, and play this. Very, very solid album. I think if I had to give it an out of 10 rating, I'd give it like an 8. 8 only because it's not as good rapping wise. There's some parts, especially on that second half of the Chucky song. Oh my god, that song was amazing too. The Chucky song, he kind of comes in and kind of says the same stuff over and over and over again. So I would say in terms of rapping, that's probably the worst song that he has on this album. But I would still say I give it an 8. But the best rapping goes on Black Swan for sure. He's like the most like melodic with some harder hitting vocals. I wouldn't say there's great bars. Like I would say good bars or like hard bars. There's no really good bars on this album, but it's just good vocals, basic flows, you know what I mean? So if you want to bring up the Carti whole I read comparison again, there's no New Tank or like Punk Monk. There isn't like as good like vocals or like rapping, so it can't really be compared to that, as it's more energy than it is rapping itself. So if I had to compare it to his previous work, I'd say it's about the same but a little bit worse. Like I'd say like 8.5 for Say So and 8 for this. But yeah, really good, enjoyable album. Probably my favorite album this year to drop. I gotta keep reviewing albums that are coming out. A lot of shit's dropping recently, so world's first black person on everything. Stay tuned. I'm gonna keep uploading. Like, subscribe, all that. I'm gonna be on here for a while, so thank y'all.